Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of cinema and uncover the magic behind the movies. I'm your host, Josh Bell, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. Today I'm wrapping up our exciting Tim Burton series with a look at his latest film, Beetlejuice. Yes, you heard that right. It's Beetlejuice times 2. This 2024 release has been one of the most anticipated films of the year, and we're here to break it all down for you. Now, if you're a fan of Tim Burton, you know he's a master of a unique style and imaginative storytelling, and Beetlejuice is no exception. This film holds a special place in his filmography, and we're going to explore exactly why that is in today's episode. So grab your popcorn, get comfy, and let's dive into the wonderfully weird world of Tim Burton. So before we jump into the nitty-gritty of Beetlejuice, let's take a moment to appreciate the journey we've been on with Tim Burton. From the gothic charm of Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice to the whimsical adventures of Alice in Wonderland and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Burton has consistently delivered films that are visually stunning and emotionally resonant. His ability to blend dark themes with a touch of humor and heart is what makes his work so distinctive. Even though he has missed a couple of times, it's more hits than otherwise. Now, in Beetlejuice, he revisits some of his best quirky supernatural territory, the world that first captivated us back in 1988. This sequel will bring back some familiar faces, introduce some new characters that add some fresh twists to the story, and the film's visual effects are nothing short of spectacular, and the set designs are a testament to Burton's unparalleled creativity. We'll be discussing the performances, the plot twists, and the overall impact of the film. Plus, we'll dive into how Beetlejuice fits into the broader context of Burton's career, and what it means for the future of his filmmaking. So whether you're a diehard Burton fan or just curious about this latest work, stay tuned. We got a lot to cover, and I promise you won't want to miss a minute of it. Alright folks, let's get right into the delightfully bizarre world of Beetlejuice. If you thought the original was wild, just wait until you hear what's in store this time around. The sequel takes us back to the eccentric, supernatural antics of Lydia Deetz, only now she's all grown up. Lydia, portrayed brilliantly once again by Winona Ryder, is no longer the angsty teen we remember, but a sophisticated, successful artist. Yet beneath her polished exterior, she carries the same sense of curiosity and connection to the macabre that makes her such an iconic character in the first place. The story kicks off with Lydia feeling a wave of nostalgia and an unshakable pull toward her childhood home, the one where her life first became entangled with the spirit world. Her return to the house sets the stage for a cascade of chaos because, guess what? Beetlejuice is still around, and his antics are as unhinged as ever. Imagine here stepping into your past only to find that the mischievous ghost who upended your life hasn't moved on and has absolutely no plans to. Well, enter Lydia's family. Lydia isn't alone this time. We're introduced to her teenage daughter, Emily, a clever, courageous, and slightly rebellious chip off the old Deetz block. Emily quickly becomes a central figure in the story, inheriting her mother's knack for getting drawn into supernatural shenanigans. Together, Lydia and Emily form a formidable duo, navigating a world that's equal part whimsical and terrifying, as is Tim Burton's way. And let's not forget Delia Deetz, Lydia's ever-dramatic stepmother, played with her normal flair by Catherine O'Hara. Delia hasn't lost her eccentric edge, and her over-the-top personality provides some of the film's funniest, most heartfelt moments. Whether she's rearranging furniture for that perfect energy flow or delivering hilariously misguided advice, Delia reminds us why she was such a standout in the original. And then some new mystery unfolds. As Lydia and Emily explore the house, they stumble upon an old journal belonging to Lydia's late father, Charles Dietz. The journal is no ordinary family heirloom. It's a treasure trove of secrets about the house's deep ties to the spirit world. Suddenly, the stakes are higher than ever, and the journal reveals not only the house's haunted past, but also a looming danger that could threaten the entire Dietz family. And this is where we get to see some of Burton's signature touch. The plot is classic Tim Burton, filled with these gothic flourishes, quirky characters, and that irresistible blend of whimsy and darkness. The house itself is a character with its creaky staircases, flickering candlelights, and hidden passageways that transport us straight into Burton's twisted imagination. And the story weaves together themes of identity, legacy, and the idea that even our most peculiar traits can be our greatest strengths. Now, as the narrative unfolds, Lydia and Emily must confront a series of supernatural challenges that are as visually stunning as they are inventive. From cursed mirrors that reveal hidden truths to furniture that springs to life in the most inconvenient of ways, the film is packed with moments that'll keep you guessing and usually laughing. Beetlejuice, played once again by the amazing Michael Keaton, or as he prefers to go by now, Michael Keaton Douglas, is both a troublemaker and an unlikely ally, injecting every scene he's in with a trademark chaotic energy. One of the standout moments for me is the grand ghostly masquerade ball held in the Dietz home. Picture this, spirits and mortals swirling together in an eerie and elegant dance, with Burton's signature gothic flair here on full display. The costumes are lavish, the music beautiful, and the scene perfectly captures the film's blend of the magical and the macabre. And as the story hurtles towards its climax, Lydia, Emily, and even Beetlejuice must band together to face these dark forces that are threatening their home. It's a high-stakes, action-packed sequence that ties the film together with its central themes, the importance of family, and the power of embracing who you are with your quirks and everything, and the idea that even the strangest allies can come through when it matters most. In the end, Beetlejuice isn't just a sequel. It's a celebration of everything that made the original the cult classic that it is today, while adding some new layers of heart and imagination. It's a reminder that in Tim Burton's world, the unusual is always extraordinary and the past is never too far away. Buckle up, because this is a ride through the netherworld you won't forget. Alright, so let's look at what makes Tim Burton's directorial style such a cinematic treasure in this film. If you've seen any Tim Burton film, you know his fingerprint is unmistakable, and again, this is no exception. This is like a visual playground for his gothic and quirky imagination. First, you have to talk about the film's gothic design. Burton is the master of taking those elements that might feel macabre and unsettling and really infusing them with this sense of whimsy. In Beetlejuice, the world feels simultaneously eerie and inviting. Picture ornate Victorian architecture with a twist of the surreal, a staircase that twists into nowhere, walls that seem to breathe, and landscapes straight out of a spooky animated dream. The gothic aesthetic is heightened with splashes of vibrant color, those neon greens, purples, and reds that make the supernatural world really pulse with this chaotic life. This interplay between light and dark, life and death is classic Burton. Now, let's talk special effects. Burton has always had a knack for merging practical effects with CGI to create worlds that can feel tangible yet otherworldly. In this film, he takes that to another level. The ghostly antics of Beetlejuice are brought to life with these dazzling visuals that feel both fantastical but grounded. Whether it's the zany transformations of Beetlejuice himself, or the eerie yet captivating design of the netherworld, the effects serve the story. They pull us deeper into this bizarre but cohesive universe that's been built. And even when the CGI veers into the overtly fantastical, it's done with like a charming intention that you can't help but kind of go along for the ride with. But Burton's brilliance here isn't just visual, it's thematic. As always, he's exploring the lives of outsiders and misfits. Beetlejuice amplifies this with characters who don't fit into those societal norms, whether they're living or dead. Originally, it was the Maitlands adjusting to the afterlife, and Lydia, the girl with the macabre, reflect those love stories about finding identity in unexpected places. Here, it's the tension between fantasy and reality, the other Burton theme that's explored beautifully, and the characters in this film navigate a world that's as surreal as it is relatable. And the result is a film that's visually stunning and, for the most part, emotionally resonant. In every frame here, Beetlejuice screams Tim Burton. From its visual mastery to its emotional depth, this is a wonderful experience going back to these characters, back to this world that really captures why Burton remains one of the most distinct and beloved filmmakers of our time. If you're a fan of his work, I think you need to watch this movie. It's a brilliant blend of gothic artistry and some heartfelt storytelling, and it's a lot of fun for those of us who grew up on the original. Okay, so now it's time to look at those exciting aspects of Beetlejuice, which is the performance and collaborations, which are the strongest elements of this film. Starting with Winona Ryder, who makes her triumphant return as Lydia Dietz. In this sequel, we see Lydia as the older, wiser version of the character we fell in love with all those years ago, yet she hasn't lost that unique goth charm. Ryder does a great job here balancing nostalgia with evolution. She shows us a Lydia who has matured, but still dances to the beat of her own wonderfully quirky drum. There's a particular scene where she confronts Beetlejuice with a mix of humor and heartfelt emotion that really showcases Winona Ryder's range here. It's like we're seeing an old friend after all these years apart. You recognize her instantly, but there's a new depth to her that makes the reunion all the more rewarding. And then what can you say about Michael Keaton Douglas as Beetlejuice? If there were ever a role tailor-made for an actor, this is it. Keaton slips back into his pinstripe suit and green wig like no time has passed at all. He delivers a performance that's just as manic, unpredictable, and downright hilarious as he was in the original. There's an energy to his performance that feels electric, almost as if he's been waiting decades to let Beetlejuice off his leash again. Whether he's spewing his rapid-fire one-liners, breaking the fourth wall, or wreaking havoc in those most chaotic ways imaginable, Keaton Douglas is the chaotic heart and soul of this film. He owns every moment that he's on screen, and honestly, I can't imagine anyone else being able to pull off this character like he does. And of course, it wouldn't be a Tim Burton film without that unmistakable music of Danny Elfman. Burton and Elfman once again are that ultimate cinematic dream team. Elfman's score for this film is pure magic. It's back to being that perfect blend of eerie, whimsical, and mischievous. He captures the film's tone in a way that only Elfman could do it. From the haunting and playful opening theme to the more emotionally resonant tracks that underscores Lydia's journey, every note here feels like it's an extension of what Burton's vision for the film was. It shapes the world and enhances every moment. And we have to talk about those visual elements because this is quintessential Burton. The production design is a love letter to the weird and wonderful, with sets that feel like they've been plucked straight from a twisted dream, or even from the Beetlejuice cartoon. They're wild. The afterlife scenes here in particular are packed with so many gothic and surreal details that you'll want to pause just to take it all in. And gotta give credit where credit's due. The legendary costume designer Colleen Atwood, who's worked with Burton about as often as Danny Elfman at this point. Her designs are the ultimate in character expression. Beetlejuice's look is as chaotic as his personality, while Lydia's wardrobe subtly reflects her transition from goth icon to more grounded but still unconventional adult. Beetlejuice is all about collaboration. From the actors to the composer, the designers, and everyone else behind the scenes, everyone brought their A game here to create a film that feels both like a natural continuation of the original, but also a fresh new chapter. It's a testament to what can happen when a director like Burton surrounds himself with an insanely talented and passionate crew. They didn't just make a sequel here, they recaptured a lot of that magic. Now let's peel back the layers and dive into some of the themes and symbolism here in Beetlejuice. Now, on the surface, it's a mix of spooky and the absurd, but beneath all those ghostly antics, the macabre humor, lies a story about identity, isolation, and belonging. It's a film that sneaks its emotions into the chaos and create a connection that will linger with us. At its heart, this movie is Lydia's story, a continuation of her journey from the first Beetlejuice film. Back when Lydia was the quintessential outsider, she was grappling with feelings of alienation and where she might belong in this world. Here, returning to her childhood home, she comes into it with an emotional reckoning. She's forced to confront the lingering shadows of her past while still embracing the person that she's become. It's a poignant arc about self-discovery, and honestly, who can't relate to that? Finding your way amidst life's chaos is something that we've all faced. It caused me to look at where I've come from, where I was. It's a brilliant way to do that growing up, especially because the fans of the original, have all grown up with this and face those same struggles that Lydia does. But what's also brilliant about this film is how it expands on Burton's signature exploration of the tension between fantasy and reality. Lydia's world is a liminal space. It's a delicate balance between the mundane and the magical. Her day-to-day existence is tethered to reality. But beneath that, under the surface, lies this vibrant and chaotic supernatural realm. And Burton blurs these lines really well and gives this film this unpredictable energy where the fantastic elements aren't just there for spectacle. They actually reflect the emotional upheaval that Lydia is navigating. Fantasy becomes a metaphor here for freedom and self-expression, while reality represents the constraints of the societal expectations. And then there's the symbolism. This film is packed with it. Burton weaves in these recurring motifs like mirrors, doors, and keys throughout the narrative, each carrying a weight of meaning. Mirrors, for instance, are central to Lydia's journey of self-reflection. They appear at pivotal moments, like when she begins to uncover the truths about her family's connection to the supernatural, or when she confronts her own fears and desires. The mirrors remind us that identity it's not static. It's something that we shape and reshape as we grow and learn. Then there are the doors and the keys, which act as metaphors for choice and discovery. Every door Lydia encounters is a threshold, some literal, like the passage to the netherworld, and others symbolic, representing decisions she has to make about her future. The keys, of course, add another layer to that, symbolizing the unlocking of secrets and hidden truths. These elements create a narrative that feels alive, encouraging us to really think about the choices and barriers in our own lives. For example, one standout scene where Lydia discovers an ornate door in her old attic. She hesitates before unlocking it, knowing it could change everything. It's not just a dramatic moment, it's a metaphor for the courage it takes to really face the unknown and step into new chapters of life. Burton's use of these symbols really elevates the story, turning what could be just another ghostly adventure into something deeply personal and universal. Ultimately, though, Beetlejuice is a testament to Burton's mastery of blending that fantastical with the heartfelt. It's a film that really entertains on the surface with its eccentric visuals and quirky humor, but resonates on a deeper level and rewards multiple viewings with its exploration of identity and belonging. Burton reminds us here that, like Lydia, we all have a bit of that peculiar within us, and that is something to celebrate. All right, but what about how Beetlejuice landed with critics and audiences, and where does it stand currently in pop culture? Because this film really had some pretty big shoes to fill, or should I say big striped pants to fill? I mean, the original Beetlejuice is a certified classic, so expectations here are sky high. And when the sequel hit theaters, the reception was a little bit divided. Many critics couldn't stop raving about the return of Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, as that titular ghost with the most. Keaton effortlessly slipped back into that role. He brought that chaotic, larger-than-life energy that we all know and love. And then there was Winona Ryder back as Lydia, who brought the perfect mix of nostalgia and evolution to her character. And critics praised the chemistry between these two veterans. They called it the heart and soul of the film. Plus, Burton's signature gothic aesthetic was spot on, from the eerie and whimsical sets and the offbeat humor. It screamed Burton in all the best ways. But not everyone was spellbound. Some critics felt that the film leaned too heavily on the original's formula without adding enough fresh material. They argued that while the visuals were stunning, seriously, Burton never phones it in on art direction. The plot played it a little too safe. For them, it felt like a greatest hits album rather than a bold new track. And can't forget the inevitable comparisons to Burton's earlier groundbreaking works, which cast a long shadow over this film. Box office-wise, the film didn't exactly raise the dead either, but it didn't really bomb either. It had a respectable performance. It drawing in longtime fans of the original Beetlejuice and newer audiences curious about the sequel. But where things start to get interesting is what happened after the initial release. I believe that Beetlejuice is already beginning to cultivate a bit of a cult following. Fans who were initially lukewarm on the film are beginning to rewatch it, give it a second chance, and are starting to find that charm in its quirky characters, imaginative settings, and the signature blend of humor and horror. It's one of those movies that I think is going to grow on you, much like Beetlejuice has grown on us all these years. The film's themes of death, the afterlife, and embracing the bizarre, they resonate in a way that to me really feels timeless, even if the execution wasn't universally beloved at first. I think that the cultural impact was obviously undeniable. We've seen a resurgence of Beetlejuice-inspired merchandise, everything from Funko Pops and Halloween costumes, and there's fan art flooding the platforms like Instagram and Etsy, and of course the memes. Beetlejuice has made its own name in the digital zeitgeist. There's even some buzz about possibly expanding the Beetlejuice universe further, whether through another sequel or a spin-off, which shows how much life this franchise still has in it. So what's the takeaway here? While Beetlejuice might not have hit a home run with everyone, it is beginning to carve out its place in Burton's filmography here and in the hearts of fans. It's proof, I think, that even when revisiting familiar territory, there's room for magic, mischief, and a little mayhem. So let's dig into the production of Beetlejuice and uncover some of the fascinating behind-the-scenes stories that make this sequel just about as intriguing as the original. Now, Tim Burton's return to the afterlife wasn't just a creative journey. It was a production that was filled with surprises, challenges, and a little bit of the chaotic energy we've come to associate with that ghost with the most, Beetlejuice. Starting with Michael Keaton Douglas, once again fully embodying that role. His improvisational genius is legendary. And just like in the first film, a significant chunk of his dialogue was not in the script. This time around, though, the stakes were higher. With an ensemble cast and more intricate scenes, Keaton's off-the-cuff lines not only brought fresh humor, but also challenged his fellow actors to keep up with his rapid-fire creativity. It's said that Keaton Douglas joked he didn't even feel like he was working. He was just riffing in a crazy costume. That energy, you can feel it jumping off the screen. And the production design, an absolute feast for the eyes. The art department took inspiration from the original, but cranked everything way up. The whimsical yet creepy set pieces, like the expanded house and the otherworldly sandworm, were painstakingly constructed to blend Burton's signature gothic charm with fresh, updated visuals. And again, another fun fact, the iconic handbook for the recently deceased has a new cheeky update for the sequel, including some hilarious modernized entries that fans will love if you just pause and read frame by frame. Of course, every production has its hiccups, and one of the biggest challenges, as we've seen in a lot of Burton's later films, was balancing those practical effects with CGI. Burton has always been a fan of hands-on, tangible effects. And while the sequel leans more into digital technology, there was a conscious effort to keep that whimsical, handcrafted aesthetic of the original. For instance, the sandworm sequences. A mix of puppetry and CGI were used, ensuring that it felt like a natural continuation of the universe rather than a departure from it. And here's some trivia for you. Did you know that the film almost had a completely different name? Studio executives initially pushed for something like Beetlejuice Returns or Beetlejuice Rises, thinking it would be more marketable. But Tim Burton, ever the maverick, put his foot down and insisted on keeping the quirky repetition in the title. And honestly, can you imagine it any other way? That double Beetlejuice gives it a playful, almost incantory feel that fits the character's chaotic nature perfectly, almost like you're one step away from calling him into existence in your own world. And speaking of Burton, apparently he threw a Beetlejuice-themed rap party where everyone came dressed as their favorite afterlife character. Michael Keaton arrived as himself, saying, "Why mess with perfection?" Classic Keaton. And all the stories and challenges remind us that making a film, especially one as delightfully bizarre as this, it's a mix of meticulous planning, artistic inspiration, and a dash of the unexpected. The final product is a testament to what happens when a passionate team comes together to try to create something that's truly memorable. So next time you're watching the film, remember a lot of the behind-the-scenes magic went into bringing this chaotic afterlife adventure back to life. Now, what are my thoughts about Beetlejuice? This one's a bit of a roller coaster, and not in the spooky sandworm riding kind of way, in that it's a mixed bag, but it's a Tim Burton mixed bag, which means even the imperfections have their charm. Starting with What Shines, Michael Keaton Douglas, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara. All of the actors are wonderful. All of them, especially the three returning, are absolute legends. Keaton Douglas slipping back into the Beetlejuice role like he never left, delivering the manic, unpredictable energy that we all love. Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz. She's aged into this role like fine wine. She brings a layered maternal gravitas to her goth queen persona while still keeping that edge. Their chemistry is electric, grounding the film in a delightful mix of nostalgia and evolution. And visually, this is pure Burton gold. The gothic whimsy, the outlandish, almost surreal set designs, and those pops of vibrant color like stepping into a living painting. The netherworld sequences are especially beautiful, with Burton flexing his creative muscle in ways that remind us why he's a master of this cinematic, eerie world building. And Danny Elfman's score it's near perfection. The guy doesn't miss often. His music elevates the film's playful yet creepy vibe and weaves through every scene, just like Beetlejuice. But then where this movie stumbles a bit is the story feels like it's maybe trying to do too much here. A little bit of sequel, a little bit of reboot, a sprinkle of new mythology, a dash of fan service. It's an ambitious cocktail. But some ingredients don't mix as well as they could. A few of the new characters, while performed well, don't quite leave the same lasting impression as our beloved originals. And there are the parts of the plot that feel like they're meandering, or almost as if the film itself got lost in the handbook for the recently deceased. So where does that leave us? For me, Beetlejuice currently lands at a 6.5 out of 10. It has undeniable moments of brilliance, a boatload of heart, but it doesn't quite achieve the balance or magic of Burton's best work. That said, it's still a fun, visually dazzling watch, especially for those of us who hold the original Beetlejuice near and dear. For modern audiences, the film serves as a loving, if slightly uneven, nod to the past, with just enough fresh material to keep us engaged. Whether you're a diehard fan of Burton's Gothic Playground or just curious how the sequel stacks up, it's definitely worth a watch. And I'd love to hear what you think. If you thought, did it really find anything thrilling here? Did it fall flat for you? Are you Team Sandworm, Team Shrunken Head? I want to know. Head over to Threads, Instagram, at RealRealTalk. Let me know your thoughts. Your feedback fuels the podcast, and it keeps our love for movies alive. Keep the conversation going, because here at Real Real Talk, we don't want the dialogue to end when the credits roll. And that's where we're going to wrap up our deep dive into this film and Tim Burton's career. I loved sharing my thoughts with you, from the return of those beloved characters and these wildly inventive twists. Just really got me going. I really enjoyed this deep dive into Tim Burton. I'm probably going to take a little bit of time off here. I still have a lot going on over on the Real Real Talk Horror Show. Also, wherever you find your podcasts. But I think I want to do some top 10 lists and maybe try to get some special guests and start having some conversations on this side. Want to look at doing some countdowns of the most unforgettable, iconic, or amazing moments, or just some obscure top 10 lists. I'll keep you up to date. Check us out again at Real Real Talk on Threads and Instagram. Make sure that you're subscribed there. Subscribe to the show. Leave me a review and rate for us. It just, more than anything, it just kind of puts a smile on my face when I see those things. And your feedback, your messages, your comments, they remind me why I do this. Partly because I just like to hear myself talk, and otherwise I just love movies and want to share it with you all. But until next time, as always, keep watching, keep loving, and keep those reels rolling. Thank you so much, everybody.